You'll hear the term blue wave over and over again this election season. That's because traditionally in the midterm election after a president is elected, the party in power stays home, and the party without power comes out in higher numbers with dissatisfaction. For most of the last year and early this year, the polls looked very much in favor of the Democrats in the midterm, though with a tough uphill battle. That is due to a mix of gerrymandering, the fact that we haven't added more representatives to the House to offset the difference in population between the states, giving low population rural states more of a voice in Congress than more densely populated urban states, and the natural bad luck in the Senate, where more Democratic senators are up for election than Republicans. Thanks to the economy continuing to follow its natural rise post-recession, loosening of bank regulations to create a bubble, and adding $1 trillion to the debt to pay for tax breaks for the rich, for this very short term, Americans are getting a small breather before the next financial crisis hits, this time with more debt and even less protections. Studies show that for this stage of the boom recession cycle, Trump has actually done everything backwards and squandered the opportunities to get the job numbers up and the debt down, which will hurt America a lot more in the long run. Less jobs have been created and wage rises are relatively stuck and rising much slower than ever before. But people are still feeling better than they did in the recession, so they don't notice as much. And Trump is now becoming normalized and being slightly less divisive in the midterms. We've all become accustomed to him being a terrible person. Nothing about his awful behavior can surprise us anymore, and the Republican Party, even moderates, have had time to rationalize their votes and begin to think that their party's choice for president was just fine, as they're having abortion and Planned Parenthood crackdowns, ICE is grabbing people off the streets and deporting them, or locking them up in detention centers and separating them from their parents. The right also has a constant fear machine going on, even if they have all the power. The deep state is going to take away your guns. Mueller is bullying Trump. Illegals are violent animals. Fox News, Alex Jones, NRA TV, and Breitbart all keep the fear pressure on at all times. The on and off North Korea deal and saying slightly less horrible things raised Trump's polling recently from the mid-30s to the low 40s, even though when asked, only 13% of Americans believe he's a truthful person, and apparently the rest don't care. The blue wave is a possibility, as so far, grassroots groups have banded together and we've won the majority of special elections. However, just as polls favoring Hillary only came true if people all went out to vote and didn't view the polls as an inevitability like so many did, this blue wave that will allow Congress to protect Mueller, stop Trump from destroying the rule of law, and hold him to at least somewhat account, and prevent him from declaring war on a whim, will only happen if we all have as much fear of losing as the other side does. There are way more of us, but we always seem to suck at turning out the vote. If there had been a three-way race between Trump, Clinton, and nobody from non-voters, nobody would have won. Millennials especially don't know their own power yet in terms of numbers, and I'm really hoping they learn their lesson from 2016, but this is still a midterm, and the news keeps talking about the blue wave like it's a done deal, regardless of what you do or if you vote. According to Cook and Sabato, we have to win all leans Democrat and 20 toss-up districts just to take back the House and win every toss-up seat to win the Senate, if we want to have a chance of protecting Mueller and holding Trump to account. If you never vote in the midterms, get out and vote this time, even if you aren't thrilled about the Democratic candidate, or at least they will be a voice to stop Trump's disruption from the rule of law, and at least half of the primaries I've seen so far have had an equal mix of progressives backed by Bernie as establishment candidates have won. This is not a fight to be having divisions in. Change comes slow and steady, and with more progressive millennials growing up and establishment boomers and older declining, you have to keep voting for your candidates in the primary, now that you hopefully know how the primary rules work after the last election, and whoever wins in the general to get any real change in your party. It requires time, patience, and never giving up, but also seeing what horrible things can happen in our stupid two-party system if you don't still vote for the party you intend to change in the general election. If you already vote, push yourself a little more, get in touch with your local party, and help drive people to the polls. Your generosity may sway them if they're on the fences, and sadly, door knocking and canvassing and phone banking, as intrusive and uncomfortable as they feel, really are sadly the best ways to boost your numbers of people who are uninformed. Feels wrong, but uninformed is exactly how the GOP gets more voters than us. And in the end, numbers matter more than political purity. If your district is bright red or bright blue, go to 280towin.com and see if there's a district in driving distance that's either a toss-up or a lean slightly to the right to help them out. Which also doesn't seem fair, but thanks to gerrymandering, your vote's diluted to begin with. We have to win this by a landslide just to break even. A blue wave is possible. It may even be probable, but only, and I repeat, only if we assume there is a very real and horrible chance we will lose if we don't put our all into this. And if we don't win in 2018 and then kick them out in 2020, that will be when Trump and the GOP move from kleptocrats to full-on fascists. We had a lot of great marches. Let's get out there and make sure we convert these shouts of "this is what democracy looks like" into actual votes and show them what real democracy looks like, even if the scale is already tipped in their favor. We must resurrect the feelings of horror, disgust, tragedy, and hopelessness that we felt election night 2016, that we've buried in favor of numbness just to keep our sanity, and use those emotions to drive us to work our asses off to ensure the blue wave actually comes, or it really will just be a dud.